This is my second screencast. In this episode, I will be going over some more uh, test-driven development, specifically outside in testing. And in this tutorial, we're gonna build an Imgur clone, and I called it derp because it's funny. So this is basically what it'll look like right here. And if I log in, you'll be able to see how it interacts. All right here you can see the front page where you aggregate the index, where you aggregate all the images. You can hold GIFs. It's got a nice little pop-up. You can up or vote down, and then you can click on images to see them. You can write comments, where in the comments you can also leave messages. And actually, I'll demonstrate this quick. You can actually just paste the image URL, and then you can write anything afterwards, and it parses the difference. And you see the new GIF right there. So that's pretty nice, and you can upvote it. And then we can also do new ones, and this will make a whole new image. And you get a new one on the front page. So pretty basic, but let's get started on it. So I'm just going to cd into my directory. All right, and then I'm going to use Postgres, and I'm going to skip unit testing while creating this. And I'm going to call this one, I'm going to call it derp, because that's what it says on Heroku. All right, there it is. Let me just open this up. Here we go. All right, and to make this outside-in testing, first we're gonna have to install all of the testing gems we need, but then we'll start with a feature test first. So I'm just gonna copy and paste my gem file in, and I'll put all of this up on GitHub. So this will be all of the gems we need for the entire tutorial, but I will go over them as we start using them. So bundle install. There we go. Now I've pasted it in to the gem file. And for testing, we are using RSpec, Factory Girls, Capybara, and then database cleaner. Basically, just make sure the database is clean every time you run a new test. Shoulda matchers mainly for model testing, and then faker for some of the factories. So let's set these up. So if we look at the RSpec Rails documentation, we've installed the gem. Now we need to run Rails generate RSpec install. Run this, it'll make our Rails helper files and the spec folder. There we go. Now that we got that going, let's open up the Rails helper. And for this, I've got a pre-configured Rails helper file that I usually use. And it basically puts in everything you need for database cleaner and other gems, but I'll comment out the things we're not using right now. So right now we don't have devise installed yet. So let's comment that out. Comment that out for now. We don't have that right now, and we don't have this. There, basically it's just database cleaner, which is right here. And if we hit RSpec, we should get a green test. There we go. Looks like everything's set up right now. So next up is we should set up our features. So let's make a directory for that. And then inside that directory, we should make a simple user visits the home page, just to make sure we have a root page to start with. So we'll actually call it user visits homepage. So let's touch. There we go. Now we're going to need to require the Rails helper. And then start with feature. This will be a real simple test. And then we do a scenario. Basically, this is saying the user is going to visit the home page, and the scenario is that it's successful, and we're going to do visit root path, and then we're going to expect there to be, we'll just put hello for now. We'll say there's going to be an H1 of hello to start with, just to see that things are up and running. All right, there we go. And if we run RSpec, we should get a failing test or some stuff. Trying to debug this. Oh, that's why. We need to create a database first. Whoops. All right, so if we do rake db create, seems like this always happens to me. Then we'll just run rake db migrate to make sure, even though we don't have anything to migrate. All right, if I run RSpec now, same error. Wait, there we go. Sorry. All of this actually up here is from the warnings, which is in the .rspec file. So these warnings and this require spec helper. We're going to take both of these out. And if we run it again, we should get rid of all that crazy stuff above. Yep, there we go. So basically the warnings is just all this gibberish right here. Much easier to read with just this. So now we can actually get something from the error we got, and it says, failure error, visit root path. Undefined local variable, root path. It's because we don't have any routes yet. So let's make some routes, or make a route. And this will be our root, and we'll say for now, we're going to make a static controller, but it will be static. We'll call it static pages. This is just to get things up and running, and it'll be called a root. So now we have that. If we run RSpec again, should say we don't have a controller. There we go. Action controller, uninitialized. So let's make a static pages controller. Actually, what's going to be easier for this one is to just touch it, because I don't want all the... Actually, I'll just create it. All right, there we go. We've got a controller now. So in our static pages controller, we got to make a root method. All right, there we go. So we got that. Then next up, if we run RSpec again, it's going to say we don't have a view. There we go, missing template. So let's make that quick too. And we'll just say h1 hello. And this should get our first integration test passing. Run it again. We'll just get a couple pendings because we got to delete some spec helper files. There we go. So let's get rid of that pending. So unless you're using a helper, you can actually configure this to not generate, but I just forgot to do it this time. So we'll just delete that. But if we run it again, unrun RSpec one more time, it should be one passing test green. There we go. And that's our first outside in test. Now it's not going very deep, but it's just making sure we have a home page set up. So next, to really get into things, we'll create a user, and we're going to use devise to do this. So what do you need to create a user? So let's start from the outside again. Basically, to create a new user, you're going to have to fill in a form, and then you're going to want that form to redirect you to the root path once you're signed in. So let's build what a user would be doing to fill out a form and sign up. So we got to make a new feature. So touch. Features. All right, there we go. Once again, require Rails helper. This is a feature test. Scenarios that they sign up successfully. So where the form is going to be, devise automatically creates the route in the view, and it's going to be called, it's going to be users/sign up. So we'll have that visit, we'll visit that page. You can also use the Rails helpers, but this one seems a little bit shorter. So now let's fill in the form. And so in this form, I'm also going to be adding username to the devise model. So the users will have a username, and that's customizing devise a little bit, but I'll go over what you have to do to add this field. So let's fill in the username first. And the second username is actually the username. It's not anything special. That's what we're calling the username. And these areas right here, username, email, uh, password confirm, these are all going to be the placeholders in the form. So I'm going to customize that a little bit. So basically it's going to, this is Capybara, and Capybara is basically going to look for the placeholder with this inside of it on this page, and then it's going to fill it in with this. So then it's registering the user. All right, and then once that's filled in, we're going to want to click a button that says sign up. Now that we have all of those actions, we're going to expect it to say welcome, you have signed up successfully. So if it has that, then the registration is all good. So we're basically just going to expect the page to have the sentence, welcome, you have signed up successfully. And this part is generated by devise, the welcome. All right, we got that all built. Let's watch this fail. All right, routing error. It's because we don't have anything there yet. So let's install the devise gem and get all of this stuff going. So look at the documentation. If we go to devise, whoops. We have the gem in there. We've already installed it. So now we just need to run this line first, create the config files, the initializer. So let's run that. All right, here we go. And it's saying we should put some alerts in so it can show you that. We already have a root path, so we're good with that. We're going to ignore this because we're not setting up email. Don't have to worry about this because hopefully we're running on higher than Rails 3.2. But we're going to need to generate the devise views, so let's do that quick. All right, there we go. So actually up next, we need to generate the model. So let's do that. Let's do Rails G. We're going to call it user. All right, let's migrate this. All right, now if you look at our schema, everything's set up here, but we're still missing the username. So we need to add the username to this. And to do that, we'll have to customize devise a little bit, but first we got to make a migration to add it. So we're going to add the username to users, and username is a string. Migrate that. Oops, what do we got? I might have not generated anything. Oh yeah. Oh, I forgot to put migration in there. Whoops. So Rails G migration, and then we got to do add username. All right. All right, now we created it, and now we're going to migrate it. There we go, and that's successful. Now if we look at our schema, we got username right here. Cool. All right, well, devise doesn't know that we have that there yet. So we got to tell it, we got to whitelist it so we can actually fill that in when a user registers. So let's whitelist it. First, I'm going to change this part right here. We're going to have to customize this route, and it is going to say users, and then we got to designate a controller for it, where we're going to, whoops, we're going to whitelist it. Oh, need an S right there. And then, now that we got that up there, we got, let's add the controller to it. So for this one, we're not going to need any views or anything with the controller, so I'm just going to touch it and add the controller to the controllers file. So let's do that. Touch registrations controller.rb. So we got that there. Let's open it up. All right. Now we're going to have this, this is going to inherit from the devise registrations controller, and then we're going to add on top of it what we need. So let's do that. So it's going to go under private. And this is basically just whitelisting it for sign up and account update, just like you'd do in any other one. Just gonna paste that one in. But you get the idea right here. So that's all up and going. Actually now you should be able to sign up with it, but let's run RSpec and see what errors we're still getting. All right, what do we got here? Fail to fill in username with username. So it's saying it's found the page, it exists, and it's found the form, but we're using a capital U over it. That's because I've customized the views a little bit. Now I'm not gonna like go into the styling and the customization of this. You can find all of the CSS on GitHub if you want to look into it, but so I'm just gonna copy and paste this stuff in. So if we go to registration, new, and that's what that'll look like. So if we run RSpec now, it should all be passing. Oh, whoops. Oh, that's because we don't have our, we didn't set up any flash messages, and that's where this right here, welcome, you have signed up successfully, is supposed to go. So right now all it sees is the hello on the root page. So I'm just gonna set up that stuff quick. So for that, actually, let's go to we're gonna set up an application.html. Now I'm just gonna copy and paste this stuff in too. And I'm gonna have to make a helper, actually a partial where all the messages will come from. Actually, this should work. Missing layout header. All right, I gotta. Actually, we can just make the header quick. Look at that. We got 3 passing, 1 pending. let's see what's pending, but it's in the model. So let's we'll come back to this, but I'm just gonna comment it out for now. Oops. Now if we run our spec again, should be all green. We are green. So now we have 2 passing integration tests. And actually, what I forgot to do, which I should have done immediately, was set up Git. So let's do Git init. All right, there we go. So now that we have the users up and running, what we're going to want next is we're going to want the user. So if a user is signed up, we're going to want them to be able to create a post. So let's write a integration test for that. You gotta touch the file first. And we'll call it user creates post. And the same as always, require Rails helper, and a feature. All right, this is actually where Factory Girls starts to come in. And basically what I'm doing right here is making sure the user is signed in before they can create a post. And this right here, this login ads is a devise helper for testing. All right. Now that the user is signed in, we're going to want them to visit the new post page and create a new post. So to do that, you're going to need them to fill in a form. So we'll do visit and in this form we'll have a title and an image URL where you copy and paste the image's URL, and then we'll have we'll do some content. We'll show a little bit of, you can write a little bit longer description underneath it. Actually, no, we're going to leave that out. It's just going to be a picture and a title. All right, let's do that. And then we'll have the user will click on submit. All right. Now, after they do that, actually, I'm gonna have to change this right here. So this is, we're actually gonna put in a fake title, so we can actually call it, say, first post. But in a little bit, I'll show you why I put that there. Basically, we're gonna put this fill in this post form, and we're gonna put it in a module because we're gonna have to reuse this a couple times. And then let's I'm just gonna put in random URL. There we go. Now, you got to write some expectations. So once a new post is created, for now, we're just going to expect it to redirect to the root path. So that's what that one's making sure of. And then we're gonna make sure that the post was created, because there'll be a flash message that says post success. Now, if we run this, we should get some failing things. Oh yeah, and I didn't set up factory girl yet, so let's do that quick. So go to your Rails helper, undo that, and this is for Warden is basically for devise, but this right here, whoops, is for Capybara testing. And now that we have devise installed, we're gonna uncomment that as well. So now if we do it, we should get some failing tests. All right, what do we got here? Unexpected syntax. Unexpected syntax error. Oh, so basically I put the symbol on the outside instead of right here. Whoops. All right, now if we do it. There we go. So it's saying we need to set up factory girl. Look at that, we got nothing in there. So let's put some stuff in there. Now this is where I'm going to use a faker email. So then we don't get so it creates a different email for each test. Just randomly generates emails. And this is a gem we installed. All right. Now, if we do this, we should get a new error. All right. No routes match posts/new. It's because they don't exist yet. And neither does the controller or the model. So we can make the routes first. Do resources. Let's do new and create. See what it says next. Action controller routing. Initialize post controller. All right, now we need to make a post controller. So let's do that. All right, if we go to the post controller, we can make create, and the new. All right, now it's saying we're missing the new template. Getting somewhere. All right, now we need to make the form for it, and then we're gonna have to create the database for some persistence. But I'm just gonna copy and paste this in, but I'll go over it. So basically, this is all for styling. But then we're posting to using the post path, and we're gonna have, actually, let's get rid of this. So then we're gonna have a title field right here, and then we're gonna have an image URL. So let's see what this says next, and then we gotta create some persistence. Saying template doesn't exist. Well, there's not going to be a template, but we're not redirecting to anything, so it doesn't know what to do. So first, let's make a post model. And then inside this model, we're going to have a title. It'll be a string. And then we'll do image URL. And this will also be a string. Should be long enough. But also we're going to need user ID, because we're going to have has many belongs to with the user. All right. Now that we got that created, let's actually migrate it. Look at that. We got title, image URL, user ID. So now we need the relation though. And before we write that, let's write some tests for it. These are some unit tests. So take this out. We're going to describe the post model. We're going to make sure it has a valid factory first. Now, you can skip that part, but I prefer to do it just for testing's sake. All right, right here, these are, this is what should a matcher. Makes it a lot shorter, and you basically just use these in the model to do quick unit testing. But this one right here, it's a gem. It makes it faster to write some model tests. And we're making sure that the post belongs to a user. Then also, while we're at it, let's validate that the title and image URL are sent in with every form. All right, we got that one. Now let's do it for the user. Let's write this one quick. Oops. Make sure it has many posts. All right, if we run RSpec, we're going to get a bunch of failing tests now. There we go, tons of them. Let's fix some of these. So let's start with the model all of these belongs to and validations. And then we'll get into the controller. We'll actually test the controller as well. So got this here. Oops. This one's gonna belong to user, but also we're gonna need some validations as well. All right, got that one down. Now this one has many posts. Let's run RSpec again. What do we got here? Belong to. It should be belongs to. There we go. Back to the missing template. All right, that's because we need to create the controller. No, actually before this, I'm going to commit it because this is quite a long integration test because we're going through all the tests to create posts. All right, so now to create a new post, we gotta let's do a controller test. Actually delete this one. There we go. But, all right, let's describe this. It's a post method. It's called create. Then the context is, this is where it's usually, if the post is saved, do this. If it's not saved, do this. So we're describing that in the testing. And then before each of these it blocks I'm about to write, we're going to want to log in the user. The heck? All right. All right. So user is going to equal a factory girl. Then we're going to sign in that user. All right, these are the it blocks now. We're going to make sure it creates a post. And we're basically saying, this is the method, this is the type of HTTP request it's using. It's saying post, the create method, and then post, this is actually like the post from factory girl, use attributes for the post from factory girl. Then we're going to expect the post count to go up by 1 because there was just a new post added. Then next, we're going to expect it to redirect. Now we're making sure it redirects when we create a new post. So we're going to expect it's called the response to render the, actually, yeah, we'll render the root page for now. So we'll change this to root. All right, let's run RSpec quick. Let's see what we're getting. Should still get that first error and some new ones. Undefined methods sign in. Well, let's write the next failing test. The reason why it's saying undefined method sign in is because we haven't done the before action that says authenticate user. Now this one is basically the same, just we're going to give it some failing attributes. So basically we can just copy and paste this right here. Use the before action again, and then we'll change this to does not create a post. And then we're saying attributes for post, and then we're gonna purposely set title to nil, because there has to be a title. We have validation for that. Then we're going to expect the count to go up by 0. And then we're going to expect it to re-render the new view. So this is the same as this. And then it should be render new. Render template new. All right, more failures. All right, now we can actually, now that we have got this create action, this create test done, let's get it passing. So open up your post controller. And the first thing actually I'm going to do is the before action. You can use the devise helper method, authenticate user, and we're going to only use it for create new, because we want people to be able to actually it's just the create. We want people to be able to view images without being logged in. Let's fill out this new first actually, because it's very simple. That's done. And now on to this. Current user.post.build. basically assigning current user, and they're building a post, so we can fill in so then Rails knows which user has built the post. Post params, actually we can do that quick. And we're going to allow them to submit title and image URL. But let's finish this up right here. If post is saved, let's flash a success. And we'll redirect to the root page. Else we'll flash an error. We'll just say something went wrong. We'll render the new page again. So hopefully everything is passing now. All right, what do we got here? Still getting that one. Undefined methods, sign in. So let's check it out. All right, we got user, factory girl create user, sign in user. Oh, I know why. So I did this describe method, but I forgot to put it all inside. I forgot to tell it that it's the post controller. And tell it the type of RSpec test we're doing. Now let's put all this inside of here. All right, now that we have that, it should be passing. Look at that, we're all passing. Let's commit this. All right, there we go right there.